Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorna's story. We are picking up right where we left off, as you have just finished cleaning the clocks out of the cultist camp. Say that 5 times fast.
Cleaning the clock.
Don't actually.
It was rhetorical.
Yes. So, we are in the woods. It's late. It's maybe about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And you are making your way, the rest of the way, to Shorewatch proper. It's not too far. Let's go ahead and pull you over. Away from the Velisco camp. I appear to have lost that map. Alright, we'll just use...
Huzzah.
We'll use the Forest Day map. That'll do. Does the trick. Hopefully it doesn't destroy your immersion.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, cool.
I'll continue on.
That is for the best. As you make your way away from the Velisco camp, I need you and Tierre to make perception checks.
Okay. Natural one. Hopefully Tier did better than me.
Tierre rolled a 26.
Okay. Lorna's just stumbling.
With a natural 1, what do you think you're distracted by? Because you're distracted by something.
I mean, let's be honest. Anscombe fought very well in that fight. And Lorna seems to really like it when Anscombe fights well. Well, I'll leave it at that.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Okay.
This is a family show.
Is it? So you are basically, you're distracted by Anscombe, who is unharmed and showed some real martial prowess during the fight, handily dealing with multiple Yuan-Ti cultists. As you all are moving along, Anscombe glances over and he says, "What? Have I got something on my..." And he starts to look on his armor.
No, I mean, well, you still have a bit of blood on you. She'll cast Presty. Just clean him up. There you go. You're good now.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So,
you were just really impressive swordsmanship. You obviously have been practicing.
Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. Your sword's different. And I just realized it.
Yeah. Oh, I never told you about that. My test. I had to find something worthy to make a weapon that I could bond to as an Eldritch Knight. And I liked Hardy, don't get me wrong, but I asked if I could talk to Tabernac about where I might find some worthy materials. And I remembered you working with that lens that lets you see into different places. And
Yeah.
Tabernac said that was a good idea. And he helped me go to the fire plane.
The fire plane?
Yeah, and I found a red dragon's corpse. And he pulls the sword out of the air again, and he hands it to you. This is carved from the femur of a red dragon. And it doesn't weigh anything. It's astoundingly light.
I think Lorna, when it was placed in her hands, she it kind of went up instead because she was anticipating having to use more force to keep it up.
Yeah.
So she's okay. This isn't so bad.
Yeah, Tabernac says that dragons' bones are remarkably light because they have to fly.
That makes sense.
Magic is only so strong as far as that goes. But I wouldn't have thought of that if I hadn't been working with you, and well, Ilrad made this for me.
Did you name it?
Not yet. I was hoping it would grow on me and I would get a natural name, one that fits it.
I think that's a good idea. I've been toying around with names for our group for just a little bit, and I'm just hoping what I do come up with. Not that I have to come up with it. Anyone here, she kind of raises her voice a little bit, can help with names for the group if they have one.
Nora says something in giant.
Translation?
Big fist? She says with a cringe.
It did sound better in giant.
It's not perfect translation.
It's not also, not a lot of us are really the punchy type.
It's more like big, and she does the gesture of punching her hand and says fist, strike, fist,
an intense blow, but not necessarily a physical one.
Kinda, but it's a different word for that. It sounded better in giant.
It does sound better in giant. Either we all have to learn giant, or maybe we should workshop it some more.
She nods.
Anybody else?
Anscombe shrugs and he says, "You're the creative one." All right.
You're saying that's the wizard, not the bard?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we heard her attempt. And Nora just goes, "Fuck you."
Well, I did have an idea, and I guess I could throw this out now and just let you all sit with it and see how you like it. Now she suddenly looks a little bit embarrassed, putting your ideas on display or owning up to them. It can be a vulnerable experience. But she kind of pitter-patters for a minute, and then she says, "I was thinking, maybe the nightingales."
Everyone kind of... There's a quiet as everyone considers the name, and Anscombe finally says, "Why?"
Well, I mean, they're a bird, and she kind of looks at Tyr like that will just sell it to him because he's a bird man. But she looks back at him and she says, honestly, I don't know everything about my past, but I know that word was important to me at one point. And I still like the ring of it, so I guess I mean, maybe I thought it was a way to kind of blend parts of me together. I don't know. That might be stupid.
It's not stupid. I didn't know why. Tier from up ahead says, "It's not bad, and it is a bird, so I do approve of that much at least. But we all have been brought together by you. I think it might be more poetic if it applied to that somehow. Like the Fatebound or the Destineers or something like that."
The Destineers. Alright, well, I said my piece. Maybe we'll think on it. Maybe we can combine a few ideas.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I'll think on it while I'm walking. I'll just spout ideas back at you.
And you can do that.
Anscombe says, "You don't have to."
Can Lorna just do a general vibe check to see, does anyone hate it?
No. Actually, as you do a vibe check, go ahead and roll me an insight check. You're looking at your party.
Oof, terrible. 13.
With the 13, I mean, Anscombe is super easy to read. He doesn't hate it. He thinks it's alright. Mm-hmm. Next to you, Skolna says, and you didn't know she was there.
Yeah.
Nightingales are pretty.
That's what I thought. I thought it suited you quite well, actually.
You think I'm pretty?
Lorna just completely red in the face. instantaneously. Just, well, yeah. Uh, that's not a secret. I'm not embarrassed about that. Yeah, of course I think that.
Huh. Thanks.
Yeah. Just remember, you rejected me. Like, as a teasing callback to what she told her backstory.
This kind of like
That she was
furrows her
straight.
brow, and she says, "Yeah, I mean, I'm not into women."
I know, it was a joke. I'm just not funny. Sorry.
You're right.
Oh, well, I can always count on you.
She nods.
Lorna nods, and she's not upset. Like, well, that was a little bit embarrassing, and she does know. One, it's true that she's not funny, and two, she knows Skolna has her back. So it's fine.
Okay.
How does Nore feel about the name? I'm just, you gave
With
me
an
everybody
insight
except
in
Nore.
13, you can't read Nore.
She's just...
Her passive deception is so much higher than 13. No chance.
Okay. Oh, so she is putting on a front. I see. It's fine. Go on.
I mean, her passive persuasion is just as high.
Okay.
So, you don't know.
Okay.
It's a bar.
Onward.
Good luck. As you're making your way towards Shorewatch, you return to the road as Tier guides you. And as you're walking, Tier backs up to the rest of you and he says, quietly, "There has been movement in these woods, but there's no way to know if it's actually hostile or if it's just other townsfolk or hunters. So I thought it best if we just give them a wide berth."
That's a good idea. I'm sure if they're hostile, we'll know immediately.
Modi says, "I would like to know where they were." And Tier says, "No way to know now." And Modi just kind of glowers and looks annoyed.
Like the light circles just kind of squint.
Yeah, literally they narrow. And Tier just shrugs and says, "Sorry, I made a split decision."
Would you benefit from knowing where they were, Modi?
I would know where to kill them.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, in the future.
Perhaps it might be best. Actually, I can't believe I'm being the voice of reason. When we get to Shorewatch, we pass this on to the town guard that they're, the main camp has been dealt with.
The stragglers in the woods.
Modi is looking at Tier and then he looks at you and he says, "That was not the plan."
Oh, you want us to dispatch every single straggler?
What would you have us do otherwise?
I just think it warrants regrouping when we get to Shorewatch. We're coming back to the main camp anyways, in an attempt to resurrect that person.
Roll a persuasion check.
Oh, holy people and their sacred missions. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20, okay. Modi doesn't look happy, but he finally agrees and he says, "There is logic behind what you're saying."
Yes, I'm very logical.
All right. And Modi just kind of turns and continues walking up the road and he says, "Then we must hurry."
Yes, sir.
Over your shoulder, Anscombe says, "Is that what this we call a zealot? A zealot?"
Yes. Fanatical might also suit.
Modi from my head says, "I hear you."
Oh, no.
Sorry. And you all continue. Roll me a D10.
Mm-hmm.
1.
Oh, no.
It is dull and quiet.
Yay.
Nothing happens. It's a clear sky. You make your way smoothly, and suddenly you see the town of Shorewatch emerging. Basically, it's like you're pushing through the trees. The mountains are like blocking your view, and then you round them, and boom, there is the city. It is night, but that doesn't seem to affect the city too much. You see lots of lights going from inside the city, and you can see people moving about. It doesn't look like it's crammed with business or anything like that, but the city is not sleeping. This splash image might give you an idea. Let's go ahead and... That is too creepy of music for what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. One moment, please. Sorry. Here we go. As you're approaching, you're heading down, it looks like the wide road that is not paved, but it is cobbled, leads up to the actual city, and you can see that the city is walled. But the walls are made of what looks like tall, very pointed logs that are basically made into spike walls that lead to towers. The city itself from here looks really big. You also see that there are a number of other roads that lead into the city as you're heading towards it from many other directions, and the entire bay is off to your left as you're walking up to it. You see there are boats out on the bay that are coming to and leaving Shorewatch despite the hour. As you're approaching, I'm going to go ahead and change the map again.
Woohoo!
You are approaching from the east.
Is she big?
She is big. This is the road that you are approaching on.
Mm-hmm.
It is bigger than you anticipated. Bigger than Anscombe or Tier anticipated as well. Modi seems unsurprised, but that would make sense. Next to you, Skolna appears again, and she says, "Big, where are we starting?"
That's a good question. Maybe. Modi, do you know if there's a temple to Ana here?
There is. It is within the town proper. I will lead the way.
I think that's a good place to start. We could give over the one non-survivor we have. Dispose of that dagger I gave to Modi. Reconfirm kind of like our mission, which is Modi's mission. And then I think maybe go to some officials, some guards at that point. But we might get some advice on the resurrection from the Temple of Ana.
Modi is considering what you're saying. I agree. And perhaps they might have the resources to resurrect our fallen one. Regardless.
I was thinking the same thing.
As you're approaching, you see that there is a structure with an arch that goes over the road. And atop the arch you see are a number of guards. Mm-hmm. As you're approaching, you see that they are wearing what looks like heavy chainmail, a helmet, and they all appear to be equipped with a spear and a crossbow. Mm-hmm. You see that there's like 6 of them just on this little overpass. And as you're approaching, one of them steps forward and says, "Hold! You look like adventurers."
Yes. Well spotted.
What business have you here in Shorewatch?
We are Marigard mercenaries.
Okay. He's going
On
to...
official business.
I've not received report that you were to come here.
No, we had to deal with business nearby and decided that we needed to regroup in Shorewatch.
You can either leave your weapons here at the gatehouse or acquire a license.
Is that a thing in Shorewatch? Is that just a local custom?
Here and anywhere west of here. Aye. No weapons within the city limits.
Is that because of the conflict?
It's not for me to question orders, just to enforce them.
Fair enough.
Anscombe nudges you and he says, "It's fine. Really. Like, they won't know I have mine."
Yes. I think you're right.
And Tier says, "It's not fine. Absolutely not."
Well, tear so blind to your bow if it's a big deal, you know?
Do what?
We'll talk about it later. Yes, we'll check our weapons, unless the license application is very quick.
You'd have to go speak with the mayor.
Goodness.
Make an appointment. That usually takes about a week.
Okay, no, we'll just check our weapons. I am curious, though, as we do so, do you have, like, does he look high-ranking, or is he just one of the regular guards?
Roll me an
Does he
investigation.
look like he's got some authority? Investigation. Oh, 27.
With 27, you catch the insignia of rank on his pauldron. He is a corporal.
Great. You might just be who I'm looking for. I find this pertinent for you to know because we dealt with business nearby. We had a run-in with some cultists in the forest down the road.
Where?
She gives an estimation based on the time traveled and blah blah blah. They were cultists of Velisco, which was our whole purpose for being here.
Alright. Do you mind bringing that information to the constabulary? Otherwise, I won't get to him until I'm off shift.
Yes, but it's good to know, for you to know, because we dealt with the bulk of them, but there may be stragglers nearby in the woods.
Well, we're the Night's Watch. We don't handle things outside the walls unless we absolutely have to.
I see.
But they'll send a dispatch out first thing in the morning. Regardless.
Where's the constabulary?
So the nearest guard post, and he, like, leans over, and he points to the wall, and he says, right inside the walls, you can see there are bastion towers. The right-hand bastion tower has an office right at the base of it. You'll find one at each gate, but that's the nearest one.
Alright, so that Modi is our first stop, and then Anna.
Modi is scowling.
I know. They need to know.
I have already acquiesced. As the guard comes downstairs, another one opens up the door, and he says, "You can drop your weapons right in here. You'll be able to get them back from this gatehouse on your way out. That includes holy symbols, arcane focuses, anything that you require to cast spells and or transform in any way whatsoever." Modi is like tense as possible.
Yeah,
and Tier is
Lorna's
looking
like,
at
"I
you
do."
like, "You sure?"
Do you have a week to just wait for our license?
No. But
Then-
maybe you could reach out to Persh and see if he could maybe pull a string or two.
So lift a finger and like look at him like I hate that you're right. Pulls out a transcription paper and writes the gist, which is at the gates of Shorewatch, we're being forced to check our weapons. Can you help us out here?
The guard at the gate is like just looking at you, and he says, "Well,
Just hold on. Just send a message, and then Lorna, and she draws like a little bird next to Lorna.
as you're
She's trying to make this a thing.
I see. As you're writing this out, you hear like hoof beats behind you, and the guard looking at you says, "If you're going to take a minute, please step off to the side of the road to allow other travelers through."
Yes, sir. She's like writing and walking. Curses when her hand like wobbles and the letters look a little weird.
As you step to the side, you see a horse-drawn cart with that same halfling that had posted at your camp.
Hello.
Oh, hey there! And they are riding on by. Then you watch as they stop, and the driver has to get out and like begins offloading all sorts of weapons. It's a similar process as you're writing this note. You write the gist to Persh. As soon as you sign your name with a bird.
It's a really... Well, actually, it's not a poorly drawn bird. I practiced. It's a pretty decent bird.
As soon as you've done so, the parchment vanishes from your hands, and you are standing there. There's a long pause. And then another pause passes. It takes about 10 minutes until finally a parchment reappears in your hands.
So deal with it yourself, sure.
It says, "Lorna, please show this to the guard. Persh." And then below that is an insignia of the Merryguard. To the right of that, it says, "This is an official Merryguard team on official Merryguard business. They have permission from the Merryguard to be armed and deal lethal force where they must, under justifications and enforcement by the Merryguard Academy." And then you see, in script, Zane Torno's signature.
Fast pass. Multi-pass, that's what it is. So she will go back up to the corporal and be like, voila, a license.
The corporal looks at the parchment. "All right.
Yes.
On their head, so be it." And then he
we have insurance.
reaches into the guardhouse, and he pulls out a small token. It's cheaply made. It looks like it's brass on a thin string necklace. And he says, "One of you must keep this on you at all times. Stay together. If a guard asks or tries to confiscate your weapons, show them this.
Yes, sir.
Make a note that you have a Shorewatch weapons license on your inventory."
Okay. Add. Custom. Shorewatch weapons.
You also do accept, should any murders or violent crimes occur whilst you are within the city, you are immediately persons of interest, may be held for an undue amount of time until such investigations are complete. Consider yourselves warned. You may be suspects should anything uncouth happen.
She looks at the rest of her group. No murders.
Skolna jokingly throws a dagger at the ground, and you hear her just...
Yes, I know. We'll have to contain our bloodlust.
You look back, and he does not look amused. He says, "As a verbal contract, do you accept these terms?"
Yes, sir.
Not my problem anymore. Off you go.
All right. To the guard post in the middle of that wall.
Okay. As you head in, you've made it past the first guardhouse.
We got through, what is this? Security at the airport.
Basically, yeah.
But I got to take my AR-15, so it's cool.
You did. You did do that. As your team very openly is armed, and you make your way up the road, roll me a perception check.
Hey. Dirty 20.
You're giving off a vibe. As you're making your way down the road, you realize lots of townsfolk are out doing stuff. And lots of them who notice you and your team and see them very armed are going inside or basically retreating because they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, it's like open carrying. Some people are just going to be like, ugh.
Yeah, it's basically almost everyone you see that notices you and sees them, they give you a wide berth. And guards notice you.
Token.
A couple
Point.
of them see it and like they were heading towards you, and then they see it and they just kind of relax.
Okay.
And
She's actually gonna look at her party and be like, "Can you put that shit somewhere? Like, we can have our things, but they're not getting the reception I'm comfortable with."
Tier like looks back at his bow on his back and he says, "Right, I'll just hide it in my pants."
She takes her bag holding off her like waist pouch and she opens it.
What fucking good is that gonna do me if we get in a fight and I don't have it on me?
You can have a dagger, but I just like if we need help or like if we want to talk to the locals, insert reason here. I don't like being anathema.
Nore looks at you. We have a license. I'm not putting my rapier in that bag. But Tier is like swayed as he slides the longbow off his shoulder and hands it to you.
Like, I mean, if you really want, you can get like a long coat and then, scimitars.
Tier like gestures to his belt where there are 2 short swords hanging.
That's what I mean. Short swords.
If these are a problem, I don't want to be here.
Well, she'll take his bow anyways.
Yeah. He is more discreetly armed now that it's just the blades. Anscombe looks unarmed, aside from the fact that
she'll
he's
actually
in heavy armor.
Put her hand on Anscombe's back and look at this guy, completely unarmed, so trusting.
You're so full of shit. He pulls it out of his wrist. We all see it happen.
Well, they don't know that, which is the important part.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And Anscombe says, I wouldn't care if you did.
Or be like Skolna, who is not visibly armed, but she is as sharp as a cat.
Skolna just nods.
They have knives in their feet,
They're not in my feet.
Where are they?
I'm never going to tell you that.
Alright then, keep your secrets.
I will. Nore, who's got a rapier on one side and a dagger on the other, next to a flute, basically is just like, he said also arcane focuses and wands and stuff, those are also against the rules.
Yeah, but I can put those away easily, so you can't see them.
Where do you keep your spell book? Because it's a significant book.
Yeah, it's honestly, she probably has like a really cool thigh holster.
Okay.
But like she'll like take it out of the holster and put it in her bag of holding.
Okay, so I need you to know.
And then the wand goes up her sleeve.
I need you to know. Okay, firstly, you have a low dex, so that's maybe not a good idea. Secondly, if you put things in the bag of holding, it's going to take you an action to draw them in combat.
Yeah.
Okay. That means you're spending a turn pulling your spell book out.
Well, I hope nothing bad happens.
Okay. That's fair.
I mean, I can do cantrips.
Not without an arcane focus.
I have shit. What? Cantrip. Hold on. Hold your horses.
You need an arcane focus.
I can use the material component. Okay, chill touch doesn't have. It's verbal and somatic. Frostbite, verbal and somatic. Mage hand, verbal and somatic.
Pen, read your spellcasting ability.
You read your spellcasting ability. How do I do that? Where is that?
We don't have to. It's like the first class feature for Wizard. We do not have to argue about this whilst playing.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, you need an arcane focus. You can hide that on your person. You don't have to put it in your bag of holding. All you have to do to hide it on your person is roll me a stealth check.
Okay, in this scenario, then, Lorna would look at Skull and be like, can you stick this somewhere? No one will see it?
She furrows her brow. What is your arcane focus?
That's her wand.
Okay. She looks at you, and she looks about like the robes that you wear and such. Yeah.
She'll hand over the War Mage wand.
Left-handed or right-handed?
She's right-handed.
Do you want the wand to be in your left hand or your right hand?
My right hand.
Okay, Skolna rolls a stealth as she hides your wand somewhere on your person.
Shoves it up my ass.
That would require more than an action to draw.
That would require an ER visit.
Yeah. Hold on. Jesus. Okay. She slips the wand. You watch as she, like, pulls a dagger out before you were ready. And as she pulls your coat open, she makes a small slit in the inside of your coat, in the lining. And then before you can even protest, she's put the dagger away somewhere, has a needle of thread in hand, and she's stitching a corner on that cloak, on that coat.
Fuck did
and then
you
the
get
wand
that?
is secreted into your coat.
That was cool. And now I have theories, but that's beside the point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. See, Tier, if you could do that, you could have your bow.
Tier, like, looks at you,
Why dragging me back in?
and he just flips you off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now that your party looks less well-armed, you still get some looks because you're clearly well-armored, but people are not, like, afraid of you actively. They're still giving you a wide berth when they inspect you for a longer period of time, but you've done at least the bare minimum, short of actually checking your weapons. You make your way up through the outer, like the shanty town, basically. The buildings that are outside of the walls of Shorewatch. You see the street names, whatever the street names are, you learn that beneath the street name, it says First Bastion, which you figure is likely this district name. As you're making your way, you're going up the main road, I take it?
Mm-hmm.
Before you get to the main bastion, like the walls where there are the guard towers on, maybe like a block away from it, you pass a very handsome looking building that looks like its facade has been not well disguised to look like, but kind of looks like a giant flask. And there is a hanging sign on the front that says the Flask of the Bard. You take it, that is likely a tavern. You make a note that that is there, and then
I like the look of it.
You hear Nori say, "Really?
Yeah, it's fun. It stands out, like caught my attention.
All right."
Plus Bard, right?
She looks at you, just very plain face.
Flask of the Bard.
Not all bards, Lorna.
Hashtag not all bards. Sorry I profiled you.
You should be. But yeah, we can check it out later if you want. There might be a nicer one inside the walls, though.
Fair enough.
It's, I guess, if we're staying the night here, which we probably are.
Right.
And Modi says, "Why?"
I'm sorry, did you use all your spell slots in that fight? Because I sure fucking did.
I'm sorry. I understand.
Is he?
I roll an inside check.
He's earnest. There's no fucking way he'd be like a natural 20.
Yeah, he's being honest. He's saying he continues on to say, the cultists of Alisco really angered me, and I'm letting that control my emotions, and I apologize.
I understand why. What they were doing was vile, and they took innocent lives, and I agree with you. That needs to be fixed.
Rushing will not actually help us. So, I will take a deep breath and allow you to take the lead on this mission that I've hired you for.
Thank you, Modi.
He's not making eye contact. It's clear that he is really trying to just rein it in. And he follows. As you approach the walls, to Shorewatch, you see that beyond the walls, the streets are not, well, some of them are cobblestone, some of them are not. Some of them are wooden, and they run over what look like channels of water coming in from the bay. You see that there are wells that pull the water up, which you're pretty sure it's salt water, so that likely wouldn't be great. But
No.
from here you see that, and it's a little confusing.
Okay.
But as you're approaching the guardhouses, you see lots of guards outside. One who sees you. Got a license for that spell book?
Takes the fucking coin out again. Yes, I do, sir.
Good. And he just leans back against the wall.
Man. What went so wrong that they implemented this draconian law?
Do you say that out loud?
No, she's like, well, she's like muttering it. There's no way she would say it within earshot of the guards.
Okay. You see that there is a door next to that guard that leads into the tower.
Yes, that there. Oh shit, I didn't get his name. The corporal at the gate said that we could come here to report a problem.
You can. We dealt with in the morning. If it's of significant import, let us know.
Well, that'll be your decision.
Not me. I'm just a private.
Can I talk to somebody?
He just kind of gestures to the door, which is open.
She goes through.
The inside is pretty sparse. There is a table with benches that a number of guards are seated at. There is what looks like a small, basically holding cells on the far side, and then a ladder that leads up the tower. Immediately to your right, you see a rack just lined with weapons. As soon as you've entered, though, one of the guards at the table says, "Can we help you, miss?"
We here to report a problem.
Ah. And you see he, looks at one of the other guards, and one, who's wearing not just chainmail, but actually has plates of armor on it, stands up. "Oh, all right, that'll be me." And he comes around the table and he says, "What sort of problem you be reporting?"
We are Marigard mercenaries, a group sent to deal with a problem outside of Shorewatch.
All right,
And
so
that happened to be cultists of Velisco.
I'd heard some reports of bandits snapping people off the road, but we hadn't found any.
Far worse than that. Spreading plague was their purpose.
Aye. All right.
We took out the bulk of the camp that we found as per our mission, but the camp was bigger than the forces we found there. And we believe there are some stragglers in the surrounding area.
Can you describe these cultists?
She does. She emphasizes the snakiness of them.
As you're talking, he actually does take an air of professionalism, and he pulls out, a slate with parchment on it, and he begins making notes. As you give a full report, he says, "I'll pass this on to the morning captain, and it'll be dealt with."
If you please, make a note that if anybody finds that camp I've described, we did leave a civilian there under stasis in the hopes of resurrecting them.
What's stasis?
They cannot be moved, I must emphasize, in order to bring them back to life. It's
Sounds
keeping
sounds like gentle repose. Is that a thing?
Yes, that is what I did.
Noted. All right, I'll make a note of that. Okay. I'm sure we can have the Order of Melisandre out there in the morning.
Oh. Are you willing to... Will they be able to perform that resurrection?
If it is as you say, they should.
She looks at Bodhi. Eh?
If it is gentle repose within time, I should say.
I believe
the town
so.
fund can handle the cost of, a simple revivification, but if it's beyond that, I'm afraid not.
I believe it is. So, fingers crossed.
You see he's making a note of it, and then Modi says, I should like to see the Temple of Melisandre myself.
We'll add that to after the Temple of Ana.
If you see Modi is like swallowing his pride a little bit, and he says,
Yeah, he wants to do it.
if the Temple of Melisandre is where the dead in the town are taken, we should go there instead of the Temple of Ana. And the guard says, no. They're all taken. Usually those sorts of things are handled by the Temple of Croesus.
Makes sense.
You see Modi, who's like trying to be graceful about this, like, very well, then maybe the Temple of Croesus.
I think that's a wise decision. She gives like Modi like a I'm proud of you kind of look.
Modi is like, if there could be a sour look on a Forged's face, but there is. But the captain says, okay, this has been interesting.
Thank you very much for taking a report.
Right. And your name?
Lorna Halloweth
Lorna
of
Halloweth.
Team 11
Okay. I don't know what that means, but
of the Marigard.
I've got that part. All right. Thank you for doing your job. The captain looks like he was going to say civic duty or something like that, and then he's
So
like,
now we're being paid for this.
Well, pleasant evening to you.
Yep, of course.
As you... I assume you leave.
Yes.
Okay. As you head out of the guardhouse, Modi is next to you, and he says, I would still like to visit the Temple of Ana.
And we can. You can still hand over that dagger to be properly disposed of.
Yes. He, like, just interrupts you.
Yeah, alright. Yeah.
But first,
Yes.
first, the dead.
Yes.
Do
you know where the...
I don't know where anything is.
They're like just outside the guard
Yeah,
post,
you're like
right?
standing
She looks
right
at the
outside
guy
door.
from the outside. Is there the Temple of Croesus is which way?
He blinks. Yeah, all right, it's, do you know where, you don't know where anything is. If you follow this road, just keep going straight, you eventually will reach a park. If you turn right at the park, take the third left you can on the main streets, it'll be on your left.
Thank you.
He just nods.
We go.
Okay. You begin to make your way through the town of Shorewatch, which I'm going to pull you over to the Shorewatch at Night Splash.
Whee.
Again, the music is a little too creepy for what it is. There we go.
They're called creepy.
Yeah, I didn't... quiet. Okay, so as you make your way across, down these streets, you see that more and more of them are, as I've described, these wooden, almost like bridges that are built over the water. And you realize there is a lot of water. There are signs of the water, likely at high tide or when there's heavy waves, crashes up and over the roads that you're walking on, and you see that all of the buildings, they have these, like, reinforcement up basically to waist high. It's kind of makes for an interesting architecture. You've never seen anything quite like it.
Lorna's just idly speculating why didn't just start building the city further back.
As you are wondering about that, you hear in your mind. Reminds me of Podemus.
Or Themis?
You realize Lily is speaking, and she says, "Hi, it's a small port in Candinos."
It's same sort of reinforcement architecture.
It's built over the water, just like this.
You remembered something.
Yes. It reminds me of that a lot. It reminds me of fetching people.
Fetching people.
I had to gather people for experiments.
Lorna visibly grimaces.
Yep. It was necessary.
Right.
I needed live souls to make sure that the magic was taking hold, that it would work.
What magic? The
Nightingale's rebirth. I remember having problems because everyone we found, they were either half-elf, or they were half-orc, or they were dwarf, or they were halfling. They were never human, and they were never full elf.
Why did you need a human and a full elf?
I don't know. It's as though the alterations to the bloodline made the spell malfunction, or made their soul impure. I remember it just kept failing.
What was the express purpose of the spell? What was its intention?
Do you remember Clone?
Yes.
You create an entity that when you die, your soul transfers to.
Yes.
The intention of Nightingale's rebirth was to give someone else an opportunity for their soul to transfer to a new body. But they could already be dead.
Okay. And the experiments, the people, they were for the vessel?
No. They would perish. And before their souls were too far gone, I tried to bind them to another vessel.
I see, a test run.
But it never worked unless they were a full-blood human or elf.
The soul.
Yes. No, the vessel. The vessel had to be a full-blooded human or a full-blooded elf.
Right. That causes the problems. Wasn't Malcolm a half-elf?
Yes, it didn't matter what they were when they perished. It mattered what they were going into.
I see. Did it ever work?
Yes. It worked twice.
What happened?
I had to modify memory. I had
On
to
the
change.
people who died.
I had to change everything they thought happened. Because what they last saw was my blade.
You're right.
Or a drink from Remus. In both cases, they saw our faces.
Not good for implication purposes. So it worked twice, and didn't you therefore try to do it with Malcolm?
Of course I did.
and it didn't work.
We couldn't find his soul.
Right. But it could work
Maybe.
if we know where his soul is.
Perhaps.
And Tabernac had that evidence of what he believes was the Nightingale's rebirth, that pure surge of magic. What was that instance?
You see, well, you don't see. You feel just a wave of grief. It was the first time I cast it on me.
You cast it on yourself. Why?
Yes. I had to. I had to bind souls to a form.
I don't follow.
I need to remember. And she is quiet.
Shit.
As you like have been, you didn't realize it, but you've been like standing there, and like everyone just sees that you're kind of like staring off at these buildings in the water, and you're brought out of your thoughts when Anscombe says, "You okay?"
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you sure? We can take a break.
No, what we're doing is important. We'll have a break when we get to sleep tonight.
All right. If you're sure.
I promise.
He, like, just kind of nods. It's not sure if he quite believes you, but he doesn't push the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Right. 11.
As soon as you start walking, it's as though you are suddenly, like, blasted with a vision.
Oh boy.
It's not a vision of anything you've ever seen before. You're looking out. Oh, this is... Hold on.
The music?
Yeah, this is super inappropriate for what's happening. You are... hiding from me. Okay. You are looking out over just... Roll me an Arcana check.
Okay. 19.
You are casting your hands out forwards, and you realize that what you are looking at is one of the planes. You are high above. Feels like you're floating or flying or levitating. You're not sure. But your hands are outstretched in front of you, and you see blue lines lancing out from underneath you. And you hear a voice that you, Lorna, recognize. Do you expect all 400 to be here? As these blue lines lance out and you are floating over Mount Celestia.
Oof.
You hear yourself say, they were innocents. Of course they'd be here. As these blue lines lance out, you see them split apart like lightning as they reach into buildings, caves, homes. structures built on this beautiful heaven-like plane that reaches up higher than you can even imagine. These blue lines lance into them, and you see them latching onto and pulling below you. You can't see where they're going. People. The radiant forms of souls in their afterlife getting pulled down and away from where they were. You hear that familiar voice. You realize, even without our contract, you will burn in the hells for this. And you hear yourself say, it's worth it. The vision ends. That moment of connection, of memory. Roll me a history check.
Another 19.
You recognize the voice of Hushin.
Yes, I do.
You remember reading about the Mythalar and its energy being electric blue.
Oh, boy.
That is what the vision has shown you. When you come out of it, you are back standing on the docks, and Anscombe is now holding you up, and he says, all right. Like, you don't hear the first thing he said, but then he says, let's see if I can find one. Huh? And Tier's looking back. Oh, aye? Look, he's awake.
What happened?
You fell down. Unconscious.
That's so embarrassing.
We're gonna find a tavern and put you in a room. The corpse can sit in the bag until tomorrow.
Sorry.
I won't take any argument.
Okay.
And he basically forcibly carries you, whether you resist or not.
She does not.
Okay.
She's embarrassed that she just said she was fine and then she just hit the floor again.
You approach, now that you're in the city gates, you're basically moving up and down the streets, and you hear your party. You hear Anscombe say, hey, is there a decent inn around here? And a drider that has been dealing with, like, one of the lampposts looks over, and he says, yeah, just down this block. And Anscombe says, thanks. And he just hauls you that way. Nore, from behind you, you hear her kind of quietly say, I thought I had problems.
Lorna will, like, look over Anscombe's shoulder and say, we all have problems.
Shit. I think you'd hear me.
My ears still work.
I guess. To be fair, I thought you were sleeping.
Not yet.
You are carried to a tavern called the Brazen Rose. It is is a handsome building made of what looks like red cedar. The clapboard on the side of it is red, with like a marbling of paler wood around it. It makes it a pretty attractive building. It's 3 stories tall. And as you enter, you are greeted by a few things. The first thing is you smell red meat roasting.
Yum.
You smell cheese. Profound. Like, very powerful cheese. And the reason why, and you realize, is within the Brazen Rose, hanging above you and everyone else in this tavern, are ropes with hooks where there is entire cured sausages and salamis and just rounds and rounds of cheese just hanging above everybody.
Yum.
Roll me a history check.
Okay.
12. You recognize some of the cheeses. Some of them are really fine. Some of them you would expect to find Aurelian royalty, like, requesting. They are the biggest rounds that are up by the ceiling. They look like they've been up there for a while, but if you remember anything correctly, the fancier the cheese, the longer it should age before you cut into it. So it's likely those have been there for a while, and they're not likely to come down anytime soon.
Lorna is idly speculating if they are dusted.
You don't know. I mean, you could roll investigation to see if you see dust.
She's just idly thinking about it.
Okay. Anscombe kind of sets you down to walk, but he still has an arm underneath your shoulder as he makes his way over toward the counter, where you see there is a stout dwarf who has like a very fine and clean white tunic on with enormous, really wide suspenders. And as he looks at you, he says, "Oh, how can I help the two of you? Oh, the whole group of you." And Anscombe says, "We need rooms for the night and food if you have it." "We have plenty of food. The finest of all Ceres we brought on over here. And let's see, how many rooms do you require?" "Aye, Ceres. You might have heard of us. I'm Thorin Trollbleeder." Go ahead and roll a history check.
Trollbleeder. 14.
A 14. Yeah. One of the Silver Guard heroes was last named Trollbleeder. You don't remember anything about him, but the name.
I think Lorna just like says that out loud,
just
as it comes to her. The Silver Guard Trollbleeder. Yeah, I'm familiar, sort of.
Runkin Trollbleeder, my uncle. Of course it is. Of course you know him. A real hero he was. Rest his soul. Now. And he, like, is smiling proudly at you. How many rooms was it you signed?
Like, looks at her group.
Anscombe just says, 4. 4 will do.
Yeah, sure.
Thorin Trollbleeder seems pleased, and he says, "For food and drink for the night, as well as those rooms, that'll simply be, let's see, 3 gold each room."
Lorna puts 3 gold on a table. 3 gold each room?
Oh,
Shit. Never mind, she'll put 12 gold on the table.
Alright. You want to eat down here at the commons, or are you eating in the rooms?
Comments, please.
Anscombe glances and he says, "You sure?"
Yeah, I'll be sitting. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I know I said that already, and then things happen, but
Yeah,
you'll be with me,
happened.
right?
Your head hits the table. You're going straight up.
Yes, sir.
Commons it is. Go ahead and find yourselves a table, and we'll have it out to you right away. First, and he sets 4 keys. You see they are 7, 8, 10, and 12. Anscombe passes keys out. "You're sleeping with me tonight. I'm sure you can handle that."
Oh, no. Lorna says.
You hear Tyr say, "Oh, shut up."
Be nice to me. I just passed out.
"You just passed out? Well, sounds like you could use a good old red meat on them bones. And why don't you all have a seat? I'll get some nice roast cut up for you." And you see the dwarf, like, turns around, and he calls through the window. And then he looks back and he says, "How many of you are there? 7?
6, I think.
6, 7. 6 finest!" And then he gestures to go find a table. You don't have to RP out being at the tavern if you don't like to, but let me go ahead and roll. Let me also pull up the splash.
Splash.
Okay. The tavern is busy. It seems like you've kind of stumbled upon a pretty popular tavern. You do manage to find a quiet table, and by that I mean you head over to a table that has a few people at it, and Anscombe says, "Scoot," and they do. You see these three halflings there at the table are like, "Oh yeah, it's no problem," and they just amscray. And then your adventuring party sits at the table, and as soon as you do, Norre, who's across the table from you, looks at you and says, "So last time you passed out like that, one, you were up for an entire day, and two, you had like an emotional trauma. So what happened now?" And Anscombe says, "Don't even. If it's a problem, you don't have to relive it."
Well, I will clarify. Parts of the structures of these towns reminded me of somewhere I'd been before. Is why it happened, I suppose I should say.
Okay. So, you saw them and then lights out?
I kind of had a back and forth with myself about the place that I had previously lived or been or worked, something like that. And something in that conversation led to a worse memory. And she kind of grimaces.
And you hear Tier say, "Someplace you've been before."
Yeah, shit, port something in Kindinos.
Posted us?
Is that what Lily said?
No.
She shakes her head. But, maybe it was a D. I can't remember. Because Pen can't remember.
You can roll a history check.
History!
It did just happen, so the DC's not
15.
very high. The name was Port Demas.
Demas, she says.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small town. Well, not that small. Smaller than Port Facetus, but it's a trading port.
Yeah, I guess I lived there or near there for a period of time.
Huh. That's interesting. So, get along with pirates, do you?
You would know.
So far, aye. It's famous for being a pirate town.
Is that so?
Aye. Yeah. It's one of the few places in Trident you can actually
Just
wave.
open the
No, you can't. No, you can't. It's not the floating irons. You have to, at least pretend you're legitimate. You bribe the right people, they'll look the other way. If you set in and you don't tell anyone I'm telling you this. If you tell them that you're Captain Newark, and then you give them 5 gold, they don't care who you are.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
You just know to say the thing. All right,
Yeah.
well, if we're over in that
Captain
area.
Newark and you give them gold, and they're like, "All right, fine, whoever you are, you can park your boat here."
Fascinating.
I didn't tell you that.
No, of course not. Do you know I have a pirate uncle?
You don't seem the type.
I didn't think so either, but he's got like a name.
Is he a salt
Nori, what
uncle
was that
or
name?
a real uncle? And Nori looks at you and says, "Captain Cutthroat?"
Yeah, that one.
Hold on. Let me roll for Tier. See if he's heard this name. Okay. He's your uncle.
In a manner of speaking. We're not physically blood. Well, he doesn't know that. He thinks we are, so don't tell him otherwise. But
I do. I've heard the name before.
Mm-hmm.
In the context of hanging out traitors off the edge of his boat.
So we shouldn't betray him.
Likely not. last I heard, his crew tried to pull a mutiny, and there were 8 crewmen. He drove hooks through their shoulders and hanged them off the side of his deck.
Yeesh.
For all the sea outside of the floating irons.
Well, he sounded nice when I sent a message to him.
Well, that's good.
At the very least, I think he'd be nice to me. We might end up meeting him someday, so I'm just putting that out there.
Oh. Why?
I heard from a reliable source that my father, she kind of lowers her voice, thinks I'm with him in Trident, or roundabouts Trident.
Okay, likely, if it's the same Captain Cutthroat as I've heard of. First, he's not likely in Trident very much. Second, when I heard about him, he was doing lots of things that were very horribly cruel. Look, I don't know how much you know about the culture.
I don't.
Okay, especially around the floating irons, you have to create a name for yourself. You have to make a name that those who are going to crew under you will fear, or respect, or both. And if crew believes that you'll be honest with them but terrifying to everyone else, they'll sail for you. If they believe you are a landlubber or not worth the salt, they'll mutiny, and I don't care how good a captain you are, you can't deal with 20 people trying to stab you at once. I've only ever heard of one mutiny against Captain Cutthroat, and he won. So let's just say,
good thing, right?
Well, if we're on the same side, I would say aye. But how do we look? I don't know if you're actually related, or I don't know anything.
That's. So I told him that I was his brother's daughter, because legally speaking, I am. But he thinks that there's a blood connection there, and I'm not going to challenge that because I want him to be kind to me if we meet.
Okay. Aye.
The reason I reached out to him, and you can thank Nore for the inspiration. Nora's like,
Nore basically just like, I'd heard the name.
Since my father thinks that I'm with him, and he's got a reputation about him, I thought I could exploit that to keep my father occupied for a little bit longer. And my uncle agreed to keep up the guise, but he said it couldn't last forever and he'd be in touch. So deal with that when it happens.
Okay. This is a weird situation that you're in.
Which one?
Specifically with Captain Cutthroat.
Yes.
Look, I know you have a sense of humour. And I know you have to understand that a name like Captain Cutthroat is as ridiculous a pirate name as anyone could imagine.
Thank you. Yes, I thought it was just a facade, but he seems legitimate, which is a little confusing to me.
No pirate captain uses their actual name as their name as a pirate. Alright? Like, I had to use my actual name when I came here, but I didn't use my real name.
What was your pirate name, Tier? Lorna looks really eager.
He, seems surprised at how, sudden this is. Well, now I don't want to say.
Please.
Saltish.
Salt-ish?
Aye, saltish.
Well, you're kind of salty? Salt-ish.
I'm half elf and my hair grows out pink, so...
It is very cute.
I'm glad you like it. It's a nickname that I got on the first ship that I sailed on, and I never corrected them, so... Saltish.
Okay.
Usually
But
it was preferred by, spotter saltish. That was what my typical title was.
but if you became like a pirate captain, you'd probably change it, right?
Probably, aye. You get to choose that when you get a boat and you make your crew. You tell them what your name is, and that's the name that you create a reputation for.
I mean, I changed my name when I came to the Marigard, and I didn't have to have a boat.
You hear Modi say, "What was your name before?"
Um, well, I'll tell you the first name. That couldn't hurt. I was told when I was a child that my name was Dahlia.
We were all told our names when we were a child.
Right. You're correct, Modi. Lauren doesn't want to say that she wasn't born, so she just nods in agreement.
My name was Armodius.
Oh, and Modi's just a nickname.
It was a nickname. When I was forged, I chose it as my real name.
Why's that?
My family's gone. And Armodius Farrier doesn't sound as respectful to Ana as Modi's son.
I suppose that makes sense. It was the new beginning for you, I suppose.
It was her order that forged me.
I chose my name when I came to the Marigard. One, primarily because it wasn't safe to be who I used to be. But two, I was a different person than I used to be. So I get that. There wasn't really a deep special meaning behind why I chose my name.
You hear Nore, muse. Maybe I should change my name. No one ever can say Skildir.
I think that sounds cool, but
Oh, say it.
Gilder,
No. But, thanks.
Skulder,
Nope.
Skilder.
As you're trying, a half-orc barmaid approaches your table, and she thuds down a tankard in front of each of you, and she begins pouring a pitcher into each one. It smells a little sweet, a little mellow. It's nothing you've ever had before.
Does anyone know what this is?
Oh, it's salt mead.
Lorna kind of furrows her brow.
Try it.
Okay, saltish.
He shrugs. That was my name. You're not going to piss me off by calling me that.
I'm not trying to piss you off.
Yes, you are. You always are.
I was making a connection between the salt ale and the salt-ish.
Salt mead. It's not the same.
Okay.
Roll me a D100.
That's a wild magic surge.
No.
28.
28. Hold on, let me check this table. Okay. 28. To Lorna, salt mead tastes mellow, with a hint of fruit to it. Above all of that, it's like this honeyed aftertaste that just has the slightest burn to it. On top of everything, there's a hint of nutmeg. It's delicious.
Why is it called salt mead?
They make it by salt and honey, and then I don't know. There's something else
But there is salt in it, right?
when they make it. Oh, but they
I'm not
take the
getting
salt.
that.
It's there wouldn't. You take the salt out after you fermented it.
Well, what does the salt do in the first place? I don't know anything about cooking. Can you tell?
It's not like sea salt. It's magic salt.
Oh, okay. You should have said that. I would have understood that.
I mean, you deal with it all the time. It's that blue shit.
I just didn't think they were using it for cooking.
They use it for everything. Everyone takes a drink of their salt mead, and I gotta roll some D100s. Because I'm not just gonna decide what it tastes like for them. Tier has had it before and is clearly enjoying it. I will say everyone else rolls. Okay. That's a lot. Hold on one moment, please. You see Anscombe, like, tastes like orange.
Mine's nutmeg.
Can I try yours?
Absolutely.
He takes a sip and he's like, still orange.
Weird.
And Tier, like, watches this and he chuckles and he's like, it tastes different for everyone. It's not that you have different mugs.
Well, what's yours taste like?
Hold on, let me roll.
We'll look at the table, huh?
Yeah, I gotta roll for him now. Elderberries.
Oh, like elderberry ale.
A little bit. But with like a creamy flavour over top of that. Like,
What happens if you don't like the essence that the salt magic infuses in it?
oh, everyone likes it.
Oh, I guess it's according to taste.
Oh. It reacts to everyone differently, but everyone likes it. I think.
It's
And
the easy way to game the system.
I mean, you see Nore, like, puts hers down and she says, mine tastes like fig and balsamic.
I don't know if that...
It's delicious.
Is it? Sounds like salad dressing.
No, the sharp balsamic is cut by the fig and it's really nice.
She nods like she doesn't believe Nore.
I'd say try it, but it won't taste
I
like
literally
it to you.
can't. It's an uncapturable flavor.
You hear Skolna mutter, it tastes like pumpkin.
Oh, I want that one.
The barmaid
Nora's like,
looks,
I got cheated.
The barmaid looks at you all as you've tasted it, and she, like, this... She's a tower of a half-orc. And she looks down at you all and she says, are you all content with the special? It's beef roast. Anybody need something else? She, like, it looks like she, like, hesitates to say that. And everyone at the table just, like, shakes their head. Good. And then she turns and leaves.
Because if you're a vegetarian, I'm gonna fucking throw you out.
You did get that
store.
vibe. You are all brought food. The special is each of you are brought, like, an enormous wooden cookie covered with, like, a huge, really thick slab of basically just fresh cut beef. It smells amazing. It's sitting over a half piece of, like, sourdough bread that's toasted. And then on the all other side of it, you see there is these fine slices of cheese that are sitting over potatoes.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah. All of you get that. And all of you... I'm going to say everybody finds it delicious because you each gain 12 temporary hit points from this
Holy
meal.
shit. Thank goodness. Lorna was actually injured from their fight.
Yeah. A few of you were, but this definitely tops you off.
Condition. Yeah.
As you're enjoying it and eating, is there anything that you want to accomplish while you're at this tavern? Any conversations you want to have? Or...
When they turn in, she's sharing with Anscombe, right? It's just the two of them.
Yeah.
She would like to have a little conversation with him.
Okay.
As they're getting ready for bed.
Sure. There's only the one bed, which Anscombe, like, when he sees that, he kind of blushes and he's like, I didn't mean to... Well, I'm not going to complain.
Oh, did you?
Would it be better if I did?
I think this is perfect.
Okay. And he just... you begin to settle in to get comfortable.
There was actually something I wanted to ask you.
Anything, darling.
I had thought, during our travel that I was interested in, you know, that Druid Grove. The Verdant Circle.
Yeah.
It's in a certain area of Aurelia, and I thought this might be an opportunity to visit Siren's Respite.
Because it's in the Rimwood.
Sure, they're near each other. It's just convenient, but I thought maybe, isn't your dad in Siren's Respite?
He was. I don't know if he still is. He was talking about going to Ceres. Talking about going to Silver's Reach. I don't know if he has. I haven't been in touch for a while. But if that's something you want to do,
Well, how do you feel about that?
you remember I talked to you about kind of being outcast in Siren's Respite, right? Like, I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of drinking.
You did say that, and I remember it, but that's not who you are anymore.
Right. But the people there might not believe that.
What's a better proof than she just gestures at him, the person you've become, and you're a Marigard mercenary now. And I'm with you.
You are. Okay. There's a tavern there, the lakeside. Siren's Respite is named for the lake that it's by, which is just called the Siren's Lagoon. The tavern there, lakeside, is a place that I've made a lot of mistakes. So even though it might be evident that I have changed, I might not be welcome through the doors of the lakeside, if in the town at all. But, I mean, if it doesn't work comfortably, we can always cast like a disguise spell on me. Look, I'm just worried about getting ridiculed for what I used to be.
You know I wouldn't let that happen.
I believe you that you wouldn't want it to happen, but people can talk.
They can, and I also have magic, and I will destroy them. So.
I that won't do anything for our image, Lorna, if we're trying to...
Yeah, but they would stop talking.
That's how I used to handle things. By fighting. Look, if you want to visit Siren's Respite, maybe find my dad, I'd be happy to. But maybe if we go there, a slow introduction might be the way to handle these things. You know what I mean? Like, just showing up would be a bad idea. Does that make sense?
What do you think? Send a letter in advance?
Well, you can send messages now, right?
I can.
Maybe you could send a message to my dad when we're getting close.
Sure, if you're comfortable with that.
He's the one who always believed in me. He's the one who believed that I could do whatever I wanted. And he's the one who insisted I come here. And he's the one who swayed the law to let me off the hook by getting out of town.
Well, then I'd really like to meet him.
I'm sure he'd like to meet you too.
You think so?
Maybe. I mean, yes, I do think so.
Oh, maybe.
He might. He's a little old-fashioned. He might be alarmed that you're not a half-orc.
He would care about that?
He's not half.
He's a human?
No, he's an orc.
Oh! I see.
Yeah.
Well, how old-fashioned can he be if he is a half-orc son?
Uh, I mean, he's probably not. He's not going to give you any. He's going to wonder why me.
Why not you?
He's old fashioned. He's going to assume, you know, a lady as pretty as yourself ought to be with some noble human or elf or something.
Lorna just like looks a little in disbelief.
You don't speak like. You speak proper. You have courtly manners. You've been educated and tutored and trained, and it's obvious. He's going to think that I'm up to something, or he's going to suspect that, I don't know, I really wasn't a good person.
But you said he believed in you.
Yes, he did.
Then maybe he'd be able to believe that I just like you.
I hope so. We can maybe deal with that after we've dealt with this whole shenanigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you want to jump out now.
No. What? I mean, it's our first mission. I'm going to do it right.
That would be for the best. Just, if you... My dad's name is Drek.
Wreck.
Drek Frost. I don't know if Frost was a name that he chose, or... I do know he answers to it, so if your spell works the way I think it does, that should reach him.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know... Man, I don't have to tell you anything. You know what to do.
Wait until he sees that you know magic.
Yeah. That'll be the day. He never believed I could ever read one of these books, let alone cast from them.
You have an ancestor who was, what, a sorcerer?
Yeah.
It's just in you, I guess.
Well, sorcery ain't the same.
It's not, but it leaves vestiges in the blood. Obviously.
Obviously. But without your help, this wouldn't have happened.
I think you should give yourself more credit, but it's fine. You can also keep complimenting me.
I'll do that.
By the way, you fought really well today, so I just, I wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna... Go
Whatever
ahead.
that spell it was that you cast on me, that made a huge difference.
Yeah, we're gonna do that again for sure.
What were you gonna say?
She turns red. Something, I was just gonna show you how well I thought you fought.
Yeah?
Yep.
I'd love it if you did.
She, lost all of her confidence.
You're very cute when you're embarrassed.
Courtly graces can't make up for anxiety.
I guess not. They make it hard on me too, but we got this room to ourselves.
Yes, we do.
And you're sure you're okay?
Mostly.
And let's enjoy a night.
She nods.
Anscombe will pull you to him, and he kisses you.
And Chaos Whisper plays in the background.
But
on kazoos.
Yeah. As... just, goodness gracious. As you spend the night with Anscombe, ruminating over what you've experienced, and now you're in a new town, that is where we're going to stop tonight's session.
Oh, man. I got a lot to think about.
Yes, you do. Okay. I hope you had a good time.
Ha.
Didn't actually accomplish a whole lot, but you did get into Shorewatch, and
I
you
just
did
want to
have
talk
visions.
to everyone.
That's okay. It's moving at your pace, so if you want to RP with everyone you see, you totally can.
Everyone.
What matters is that you're having fun.
Yes.
Good. To those of you who are watching from home or at work, hi Pen.
Hi, Pen.
We love you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Good night, everybody.